Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing? How many of you in this room have ever had this experience? You're sitting around with your friends, maybe your colleagues, and out of nowhere, you say the most brilliant, even funny expression of an experience. Has anyone ever had that experience where you said something so funny and so brilliant you shocked yourself? No one? Not one? Who are you guys? Man, we're really gonna have to do something with the HR world. You guys are a little stiff. So most of us have actually had this experience, whether you like to admit it or not, yes? And no matter what I ask, you guys are not gonna raise your hands. Is that where we are today? Okay. Participation is more interesting for you. If you wanna participate, please do. If not, I will be the talking head. Now, when we look at high performance, today, the latest research is showing us something very interesting. The latest neuroscientists, psychologists, and physicists are all saying one thing, that it is highly likely that we may actually live in a simulation. Crazy, I know. But brilliant minds like Elon Musk, Mo Gaudat, who's actually writing a book on this right now, Dr. Abdullah Kablan, my AI consulting partner, who has a PhD in AI, 2 big exits and multiple awards, they're all saying the same thing. And do you know what the driver behind the simulation is? You're not gonna guess this one, or maybe you are if you wanna participate. It's not logic, it's not technology. Who can guess what it is? I can't hear you. I'm gonna help you guys out. It's emotion. They're saying emotion is the driver of the simulation. This is fascinating. Now, whether or not you believe that we live in a simulation, what we know for sure is that science tells us our emotions predict our outcomes. And if we want to create high performance teams, management, high performance anything, we have to start by creating a high performance environment based on the emotional environment that we create. So let's talk about that a little bit. When we talk about high performance, there's 2 aspects, the internal communication state and the external communication state. Internal communication is our deeper levels of awareness, our understanding of ourselves, what our drivers are to create intrinsic motivation. We're gonna talk about that later in the masterclass, don't miss it. Then the mind-body connection. You can't go anywhere without your body, but we always only focus on the mind. Why do we do that? We completely forget about the body. Then we look at outer communication. And with outer communication, we're talking about creating influence. You know what the #1 skill set moving forward as AI starts to take over is going to be? It's our ability to influence, because AI can never do that. So we want to look at how we speak to different personality types, adapting to the different personality types, because you don't speak the way I do you? You want to be spoken to differently from the way I want to be spoken to, but if I only speak to you the way I like to be spoken to, I'm going to miss out. I'm going to miss an opportunity to create influence. And when 93% of our communication is nonverbal, how many people have mastered nonverbal communication? 7% of your language is what people are picking up on when you're communicating. That's it. It's not that language isn't important, it's just that it's only 7%. And if my body and my external language does something differently, you're gonna believe my body before you believe my words. So let's go a little bit deeper. Do not be scared, I'm not gonna go too deep on this. I want you to understand this because it is pivotal. And when you get this metaphor, you will remember it forever. Metaphors surpass your conscious mind, triggers a sensory part of your brain so that you don't forget it. They're really important, so you always want to use metaphors from the perspective of positive versus negative. We have two parts of our brain that are really important. This is all you care about when it comes to high performance. The amygdala and the prefrontal cortex. Why are we talking about this? Because when you understand what is going on in high stress environments, you're gonna stop yourself when you remember these images. Your amygdala, think of your amygdala as the soldier protecting the castle. Watch out, everybody. I've got this. Scanning the environment for danger, making sure we're solid. Everybody on the inside of the wall, the prefrontal cortex, they're innovating, critical thinking, creating the future. These two cannot exist at the same time at a high level. Only one side can. So if our amygdala is at the wall and red alert, there's a problem, immediately prefrontal cortex goes back to the castle and hides, shuts down completely. The amygdala is on high alert. When the danger is gone and we're settled, come on back out. Prefrontal cortex comes back and says, all right, let's work. Now think about your working environment and the high stress that you're going through. What's happening? Let's talk about the science. The Heart Math Institute has done 45 years of study on the heart-brain connection. We know today that the heart sends more electrical impulses to the brain than the brain actually sends to the heart. Why do we care? It's because our heart has its own intelligence, and we can actually tap into it. How is this not more prevalently known? They have done studies where they show when you do certain exercises where you create coherence, which means order, your heart is sending an electromagnetic field out. You've heard of your aura, the energy field that's around you. That's a real thing. Your heart is emitting that electromagnetic field. And when it's in disorder, you can't tap into the information that's sitting in that field. It has information. And it looks like this when you're out of coherence. An incoherent state affects the way you feel. A coherent state, when you tap your mind and your body, creates this. Let's look at the impact. 24% increase in focus, 30% increase in sleep. Anxiety down by 46%. Who wants less anxiety? Depression down by 56%. These results are staggering, and they're based on mind-body connection. Now let's take it a tad bit deeper. High-performance states. How many of you sat at your desk trying to strategize about a problem, and you've got things going on in your life that are not the best? Your boss is breathing down your neck. The pressure is intense to be a great provider, a great father or mother. All the things that are stacking up, you're feeling the pressure from all angles. And then you question yourself, am I really good enough to do this? Do I have what it takes to be a great mother, to really perform at the level that I think I should? I don't know. Now, when you're in that state, how well are you going to perform? Do you guys think you're going to do well? Do we know that that's typically not the right state to create a high performance experience? I think we all know, yeah? This is not rocket science. So what do we want to do? It's literally the opposite of everything we've been told. From school and onward, we're doing the literal exact opposite of what we should be doing to create a high performance state. We have to tap into our physiology, our body. You can't go anywhere without your body. How many times have you guys, I completely lost my thought. How many times have you guys seen someone crying and running? Have you ever seen that? Someone running and crying at the same time? Why? Remember the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex? You can't. It takes one side or the other. So we want to activate our physiology, and once our physiology is activated, we go to the focus. What is it that I want to create? What am I working on? And from that state, we go to the language. How am I speaking to myself? Because if we do it the other way, and I'm sitting at my desk, I'm going to do this. I got this. I can overcome. How hard is that to push your body and your mind, everything, to get that strategy done? You want a cheat code? This is a cheat code. Instead, physiology, focus, language changes everything. Now, the big 6 psychological drivers. We're going to talk about this in much more depth in the masterclass. Why is this important? There's a reason we do absolutely everything that we do. And when we understand why we're doing them, we can now make a change because we have greater awareness. These are the 6 motivators that are either hurting you or helping you, because you will step over your values to meet every single one of these needs. And I can prove that. I actually had a client that I was working with, and they asked me, I was doing one live event for them a month, and then I was speaking to their executives and doing one-on-ones. And it was only a handful of executives, and they asked me to add one more person onto my schedule. They said, we're really having a hard time with David. We don't know what's up, and he's on the verge of getting fired if this doesn't change. I said, no problem. Let me sit with him. So we jumped on Zoom. I asked him a bunch of questions. This is what I want to understand. Why is he doing the things that he's doing? How are his needs being met at work? And from that, we created a strategy. We actually discovered that his top 2 drivers, because we have a top 2 that show us the direction of our life, his top 2 drivers were being met at a very low level. On a scale of 1 to 10, I believe it was a 3 and a 4, really low. So we strategized on how he could fill those needs at work. And when we filled the gap, transformation happens. If you want a breakthrough, you apply these types of scenarios to your work daily. And the thing is, it needs to be repetitive. It doesn't happen once. You guys are in a room right now learning something, and you think, that sounds simple. And you might do it once or twice or maybe for a month. But if you don't program your body to change, nothing will change. Certainty is a high need for people in work that work for companies, let's say. Entrepreneurs typically have a low need for certainty. So let's focus on that for one moment. The certainty need is your survival need. The need to feel safe and secure. We all need this, yeah? Now imagine you don't feel safe and secure in your work culture. You don't feel safe to speak up, and you don't feel safe to admit errors. Amy Edmondson did a study. She's a Harvard professor that did a study where she went into the hospital systems and wanted to analyze the error rates of high-performance teams, which is what she expected to see. Low error rates, high performers. What she actually found was that the highest performing teams reported the highest amount of errors. How's that possible? Well, pay attention to what I said. Reported errors. What was happening was the teams that were under high stress and ridicule were too ashamed and too scared to speak up, so they were not reporting the errors. Now, are they going to become a high-performing team when they're afraid to ideate and fix the problems? No, they're struggling. They're scared. This team has created an environment of learning, and in a learning environment, we create magic. My time is up. This is my team. We have AI consulting services, sales, marketing, and operational performance strategies. If you guys want to come to the masterclass and dive in even deeper, I promise you, if you want a breakthrough, it's going to be today if you start applying what I teach. Thank you. And get your bonuses on my QR code. Thank you.